for some great interaction later as we get going. So if everyone is good with it, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to share my screen. So first of all, welcome. It is great to see everybody back. We always have a great time when we come together for our Tech Talk Tuesdays. And today we're looking forward to having a great time with you. We are going to be talking about Microsoft CoPilot today. This is a conversation about the basics of Microsoft CoPilot. We're going to talk about how are we integrating, specifically how are Pari and I integrating CoPilot into our workflows. And what we're really hoping is that for those of you that are integrating Microsoft CoPilot, you've tested it out, you've tried a few things. What we're really hoping is that you will share with us as well. As a reminder, this is an AI learning collaborative, and that means we get to learn together. So one of our favorite parts is learning from you as much as you learn from us. And so we're really hopeful that as we get going today, you will feel inclined to share how you are using Microsoft Copilot, or how you've integrated, or how you've tried it and it didn't work, or didn't get the results you expected, or tried it and found something cool. And so we want to leave plenty of time for that today. A couple of housekeeping things. I unapologetically mute people if there's an echo or strange background noises. So if you find yourself muted, just make sure you're looking to come off mute as we go through, so that we can move through the topic. But know that we do want to hear from you, but we all know sometimes background noises come in, and so know that we will politely mute you, because nobody wants to be the one interrupting the conversation unintentionally. So I will always do a friendly help and mute. And Pari and Aaron and I will be watching the chat as we go. I do want to take time, though, as we're getting started. We have been doing these Tech Talk Tuesdays since November, and we've got some new faces. And so I wanted to take a minute to introduce our team. So here at TBR, we have what we affectionately call our AI Learning Collaborative team, which is exactly what it sounds like. We come together to collaboratively learn and work with you all to learn AI. And so I want to take a minute to introduce our team. And our team has expanded since the beginning, so it's really exciting because we get to introduce a new team member. So I want to take time to do that. First of all, we have Erin Hughes. So Erin, if you want to say hi, she is our newest member.
Hi, welcome everyone to this session. I'm Dr. Erin Hughes, newest team. I think I'm in week 3 or week 4. Started in the middle of last month. Currently planning the move to Tennessee from Arizona, and really looking forward to learning and growing with you in this AI collaborative. Thank you.
Awesome. And we, of course, have Pari Bhatt.
Thanks, Sarah. And welcome, Erin, and welcome everybody. You probably know my face, but I'm basically a senior instructional designer here at TBR, and get to play with Sarah, Jamie, and now Erin to just figure out new ways to use AI and just kind of talk about it, maybe get input from you guys as well. So welcome to this Tech Talk Tuesday.
Excellent. And Dr. Jamie Nelson is also on our team. She is here in the background, but she's actually on vacation this week. She just couldn't stand it and stand not coming, but she's actually on vacation this week. If you've been with us for any of our sessions or watched the recordings, you are familiar with Jamie and her expertise in AI. So we're happy she gets to have a vacation. And as always, thanks for hanging out with us, Jamie. And I'm Sarah Hazelton. I am the 4th person on this team and have enjoyed all of our time together. I am on the CBE team here at TBR with Erin and Jamie, and always love to have the opportunity to work with Pari as well. And we are your TBR AI collaborative learning team. And so we're really excited to get started today.
Okay. All right. If he says anything, I'll tell him you can't get on if I can figure out how. All right.
I have muted the participant.
Perfect. I'm back to I mute just in case. So today we want to talk about CoPilot, and CoPilot. This is not going to be a super in-depth discussion of all of the technical workings of CoPilot. What we actually want to do today is talk a little bit about CoPilot. I think there's some really cool pieces that we can learn from. But what Pari and I really want to do is spend time with you, showing you how we're using CoPilot, how we've created some efficiencies, some of the cool things we've learned to do with it. But we also want to encourage you all to come off mute. We'll have plenty of time later and share how you're using CoPilot, how you've tried it, ask questions. So William, to your question in chat, yes, we are going to be using chat today. You can put questions in chat. Later, it will be, we are hoping for a really interactive experience with you all. So you're welcome to come off mute and ask questions. One caveat, we may not know all of the answers, but we are going to do our best to answer those questions for you because, as I mentioned, one of the most exciting things, but also one of the most interesting things about this whole AI experience is that it is ever evolving and we are learning as we go. And so if we don't have an answer, we'll get one for you, but we're going to do our best. So please put your questions in chat. Please feel free to come off mute later. We are looking forward to this conversation with you. So today, as we talk about CoPilot, we're going to talk about a couple things. First of all, we're going to just talk about some basics with CoPilot. What is it? How do you access it? For those of you that may not have accessed CoPilot before, there's some interesting things about the evolution of CoPilot, and I think it's an interesting case study. So we're going to spend just a couple minutes on that. And if you've been at any of our tech talks, you know that we spend a lot of time talking about different AI solutions, but one of the ones that we've most commonly referenced is ChatGPT. So we're going to compare ChatGPT. We're going to have a bit of a conversation about comparing ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot. And then Pari and I are going to spend the rest of the time sharing our favorite features and how we use it. And so we hope you find this helpful today. We hope you find this engaging, and we're looking forward to having a conversation with you about it. So let's go ahead and jump into those Microsoft basics. This is Microsoft Copilot Basics. And so at its heart, what Copilot is just a conversational chat interface. You can ask Copilot questions. You can have it generate text. It actually generates images. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. It has image generation capabilities, and it actually will write code for you as well. So it has some great features in it. One of the things that is always important to keep in mind on any platform, but Microsoft as well, or this Copilot as well, is that it is always learning. So I've heard Jamie say this before, I've heard of this in others. This tool is as unintelligent today as it ever will be, because it is continuously learning. It is learning as you engage with it. It is learning to engage with you, but it's consistently learning from the experiences as more and more humans engage with it as a continuously evolving and learning product. What's also interesting for me about Copilot is that it is one of the most visual examples of product evolution in this AI space. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second. But this is a great case study in showing the evolution of an AI product. So we're going to spend some time on that. I also want to talk a little bit about how you access Copilot. You can throw it in the chat. You can use the raise hands feature at the top. How many people have actually accessed Copilot or ever touched Copilot? How many people in the room have touched Copilot or tried it out or hit the button? Okay. Awesome. So we have a few folks that have tried it out. Now let's do it this way as well. How about we raise your hand or use one of the reaction buttons? Yep, it comes up in Edge a lot, where actually that's how I access it. So we're going to be doing that today. Nellie, how many people have never touched Copilot, have never used it, never tried it? Is there anybody who hasn't? And it's okay if the answer is no. I'm just curious. Okay. Then I've got great news for you. You are in the right place, because we are going to go with the basics of CoPilot today. So it's great to see that diversity in the room in terms of experience. And I hope that encourages you later, for those of you that have tried it, to come off mute and talk to us about how you've tried it a little bit later. But for those that have never accessed CoPilot, there are a couple of ways to access it. So as Nellie mentioned, I use an Edge browser, and there's the CoPilot icon in the top right, and that's how I access it. It's super quick and super easy. There is actually a website, so you can access it through the CoPilot website. Windows, if you're in any of the 365 functions, CoPilot is embedded in there now. Bing search, or now Bing CoPilot, which we're going to talk about in a minute, or the mobile app has access to CoPilot. And in Chrome, you can put it in as an add-in extension on your browser. So there's multiple ways that you can access CoPilot. I personally, and I don't know about some of the others, it looks like Nellie does it the same way I do. When I'm in my Edge browser, I like that button at the top right that just pops it open for me and I can run. So I mentioned that this is one of the coolest examples for me personally of the evolution of a product, where we can actually, for me, when I look at CoPilot, it actually is a great case study in seeing the evolution of a product. So the initial CoPilot, and I'm going to pause for just a second and tell you, so one of the interesting things that I've learned about CoPilot is CoPilot's actually kind of a catch-all term for a lot of different types of copilots. There's actually several different types of copilots out there. Today, when I say Copilot, for ease of me not having to trip over my words all day long, when I say Copilot, know that I'm talking about the Microsoft Copilot, but there's actually some diverse versions of Copilot out there. So Copilot can be sort of an umbrella term. So as you're getting into this space and you're starting to explore a little bit, you can Google Copilot, you can search for Copilot, but just as you're looking in there, know that there's a couple different ones. So you'll want to know which one you're looking for to help you have context to the product you're using. But back in 2001, GitHub Copilot was launched. And GitHub Copilot, the whole purpose of GitHub Copilot, which was launched, was to assist developers in coding tasks. It was a coding assister for developers. And it became a public repository, GitHub Copilot Novium, back in 2021. In early 2023, Bing Chat was introduced, and some of you, we may still refer to it as Bing Chat, but it was introduced back in February, maybe a little bit before that, and it was introduced as an AI companion to things like ChatGPT. So it was initially designed to function very much like that, where you type in and you roll and go. It is still accessible, but it was evolved into Bing Copilot, and Bing Copilot is actually part of the Microsoft Copilot now. So you can go on and you can look up Bing Copilot and it's still there, but it's going to be the same experience as you would experience if you looked up Microsoft Copilot. So actually both names are still out there, but it's really very much the same experience. And then in May, this Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, was unveiled, and the difference in that is it's still it's still that conversational interface, but Nellie called it out. I said this is how I experience it. It's actually embedded with Microsoft 365, and the reason they did that was so that it could be a stronger aid in productivity and collaboration across the Microsoft products, which was something that was a little bit new and different, where we see that intentional collaboration, and it continues to evolve. So at this point, for the purposes of today, we're only talking about the free version. There is a subscription version of Copilot that gives you some additional features, just as there's a subscription version of ChatGPT, but we're going to be comparing free versions and free versions. But it is embedded now, and there's actually a few different Copilots even in that ecoverse. So there's actually a Windows CoPilot that you can find embedded with your Windows 11 that assists you with like your PC settings or your functions or something along those lines. There's actually, it's called Windows CoPilot, and it helps you with managing Windows. We still have Bing Copilot, which was once Bing Chat. We have the Microsoft 365 Copilot, and GitHub Copilot is still out there. And so, you know, as I look at all of these products under that Copilot, it's really an interesting for me, and it's a great case study in how quickly these evolve, because this timeline is really relatively short. I mean, it is quick and it's ever changing, and the integration of Copilot with the Microsoft applications is really a next step. And I think it was Jamie that was telling me Microsoft is actually looking at, or you know, there's going to be a AI button on our keyboards. It'll be the first time in years that we've changed keyboards, but there's actually going to be a button to access AI on our keyboard at some point in the near future. And so it's really interesting where we're seeing this evolution go. And for me, as we're learning these products, this is, you know, this is always something I keep in the back of my head about how quickly we're evolving in this space. In our time together in our Tech Talk Tuesdays, we spent a lot of time talking about ChatGPT, and Jamie always demonstrates the difference between 3.5 and 4. This is just this, and I'm not reading this slide to you. I don't read slides, so you all are welcome to take time to look at this. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about the features and the differences. What is there really a difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and Copilot? What really is the difference? So the bottom line is they're actually fairly similar. But where ChatGPT is different for me, and if you've tried them both and you want to throw it in chat or come off mute, feel free to do so. But for me, the difference is ChatGPT is better as a natural language engagement. It is better at understanding natural language. It is better at producing natural language, conversational responses. It is stronger in that space than Copilot. But what I like about Copilot, it is still good in that space. I speak conversationally with Copilot. The responses are a little more structured, if that makes sense. Compared to what I get back from ChatGPT, the responses are a little more structured in Copilot, less conversational, still great, still helpful, little less conversational. But it actually has some stronger integrated functions, which is why I tend to lean more toward Copilot than ChatGPT, and we're going to show you some of that in the next little bit about as we talk about our favorite parts of Copilot. It is still still similar, but it's just a little more integrated. It's a little more functional. It's a little more for me, it's a little more bit of a work piece versus a creation piece. So if I want to do some crazy brainstorming and do some of those pieces, I'm going to defer to ChatGPT. If I'm looking to functionally get things done and move forward, I move more toward Copilot. I also tend to lean more toward Copilot just because it's easier for me to access than ChatGPT, but if it depends on what I want to do, what I want to access. Yes, so actually Copilot is now being integrated with Word. If you are in there, so on my personal computer, if I'm in there on Word, I actually get a pop-up for ChatGPT. I don't always get it on my work computer, but my personal account, I get a pop-up for ChatGPT in Word. It offers to draft things for me in AI if I'm in Word. So it can be a little bit on the, as we're talking about in chat, it can be a little bit on the how do I close this out and do what I need to do kind of side, but it is there. So it is going to be in there. It is an add-on to your Office 365 subscription. But it will be in there. And it is really interesting, Marla is pointing out in chat that it's interesting to see the differences since Microsoft has a large ownership of OpenAI, but I think that also points out how evolutionary these products are. And the base is that Clippy. I remember Clippy, who answered all my questions way back when I used Word. But being able to see the differences in sort of that base, where we start at the base of these products and move out. I want to talk about some of my favorite features, and then I'm going to turn it over to Pari, because what we want to spend time on is showing you how we use it versus talking a lot about it. So I'm going to switch over and I'm going to tell you about my favorite features. So there's a couple things for me that make CoPilot stand out for me. So first, and I've talked about it a couple times already, it's that easy access. It's going up to the right, it's clicking the button, and it pops open in my screen, and here we go. And I can ask it what I need to. What I like about CoPilot over ChatGPT is CoPilot actually gives me reference links when it is providing me a response. And I'll show that to you in a little bit. But what I appreciate is that there's some reference links there. Not that they're always the most amazing references in the world, because sometimes they are and sometimes they're not, but at least I have a context for what it's looking at as a reference. And as I'm working with the product, then I can decide, okay, is this really what I'm looking for? I can go back down and dig in it. I can go down the rabbit hole if I need to on those references to see what's going on, or do I like it? Is there more information? So I do like that CoPilot has reference links. The other thing that I absolutely love about CoPilot, and we're going to demonstrate this for you, is its screenshot technology. You can also upload images. And we're going to show you some cool ways to do that. But the reason I tend to lean toward CoPilot versus ChatGPT, the 3.5. Now, I'm going to caveat this before somebody says it. 4.0 has a little bit different features and more access for ChatGPT 4. In the free version, at least I haven't figured out how you screenshot in the free version and upload in ChatGPT. But in the free version of CoPilot, because it pops open in my browser, it actually has a snapshot or a screenshot feature that I can screenshot it and pop that in there and ask it to do things for me. So I'm going to show you that because that's one of my favorite features. So I'm going to pause there and actually turn it over to Pari because she has some favorite features too, and then we're going to show you some use cases.
Thanks, Sarah. So thanks for those three things that were your favorites. It made me realize that, you know, also I like those features as well. And also I use CoPilot to kind of make some hacks to improve accessibility and summarize documents. So like you said, I have free access to ChatGPT, which doesn't let me upload documents unless I copy and paste them. So in CoPilot, it's really easy to pull a document in there and say, summarize this for me. To demonstrate the accessibility improvement, which is like I know it's a very specific use case, but I would really like to show folks here what I do there. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly.
Yep, I'm going to stop sharing and it's all yours.
And make sure that you monitor the chat because I am really, I won't be able to see that once I'm full screen over here. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so before I show you exactly what my hack was, I wanted to just take a few minutes to show CoPilot in the Edge browser. I know a few of us haven't. Few of us have looked at this, but a lot of us haven't. And so this is only one way to access CoPilot. So this is simply my Bing browser, and the background is just provided by Microsoft. But on the Edge browser, at the very top to the right, you see a little icon for the CoPilot. And what that will do is open up the CoPilot in your sidebar in the Edge browser. And you can see the interface of the CoPilot. There are two different things. It starts immediately telling us, you know, what some of the prompts that we can use to run CoPilot. One of the main things I want to demonstrate here is if you can see towards the bottom, the uses of CoPilot can be a creative use, which basically says, you can ask it to be more imaginative. So it can give you explanations of things in a more floral manner. You want it to be more balanced. So the conversation is going to be informative with some of those reference links that Sarah was mentioning about. And then you can say, oh, I want it to be fully precise, and I want it to be concise, and I want it to be more fact oriented. So for our demonstration purposes, and usually when you start using this, I would just start out in the middle, and then you can go to more creative or more factual as you can. The other thing I wanted to share was at the top, you have two different options. So one is this chat option that is already laid out for us, and the other one is a compose option. And what the compose option does is it allows you to for example, if you wanted to write an email to your boss or to your subordinates or to your colleagues or to your students, you can simply say, give me an email, here's the tone, informational, funny, enthusiastic, etc. Give me a paragraph format, give me bullet points, or you can convert bullet points to paragraphs. So a lot of this functionality is kind of like ChatGPT, but as you can see, it's a little bit more visual. It helps us a little bit more in doing this thing. So it's an ease of access over there. And you can also control the length. So whatever you tell it to do, it will start generating things here, and then you can reiterate. So for our purposes, what I wanted to show you was I I manage a tool called Simple Syllabus, and some of you might have been harassed by me telling you to finish your Simple Syllabus, all that. So I have something in my work. One of my work responsibilities is to maintain the um, help documents or the guides or the how-to guides for this particular tool. And so here's a 2-page or 3-page guider for what faculty need to do with this particular tool, with the Simple Syllabus guide. And one of the things that I usually do whenever I'm creating any kind of documents is I will go and review the accessibility of this document and make sure that everything has alternative text descriptions if I'm using images and stuff like that. And so it right away tells me in Word that some of my images don't have an object description, which here's a logo. And then there's this picture right here where I'm showing a screenshot of something. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this in Word first is we can we can say view alternative text, and it's telling me how this particular image does not have an alternative text, and I can generate an alternative text within the Word accessibility checker. And if I do that, it's going to try to do something, and it will. This is a little hard to see, but it literally says a screenshot of a computer, and this description is automatically generated. So you can see it's not much help. Now, if you do have CoPilot in Word, what it's going to look like is when you go up here in your ribbon up here, you will have a tool which will basically say CoPilot, just like you have a design tool. We don't have access to that here, so I had to figure out a different way of hacking it. But if you do have it, then it's going to allow you to do that right in here within the CoPilot. So another example I wanted to show was in this case here, there is no alternative text description either. We can see it's a logo, and sometimes we can mark it as decorative. But just to humor myself, I tried to ask it, what do you think it is? And the alternative text that it came up with, the automatic one, was that it's a logo with numbers and text. So that's a little bit of a closer description. But then what I did was I said, let's put CoPilot to test. And we are going to try to generate these this alternative. I wanted CoPilot to generate an alternative description for me to see if it is any better, right? And so what I did was I pulled this document in my left side of the screen. I opened up CoPilot, and the magic screenshot facility that Sarah was talking about is over here at the bottom. So you can add an image. The CoPilot will actually analyze an image for you, or you can add a screenshot. And so what I did was I clicked on the screenshot ability and I said, okay, let's screenshot this particular image and say done. And so at the bottom, you see it quickly attaches that image. And I'm going to say, give me alternative text, or you can just say, describe this image for me, right? And so let's just do that. And that's simple. And I've already told it, give me a balanced approach to this. So don't take it too far. So CoPilot is immediately going to start sort of analyzing that image, maybe OCRing it, and seeing what's in there, and will try to give me an explanation of the image. And this was purely out of curiosity. I thought, let me see what CoPilot does versus what Word does automatically. And the results were so astounding that once they generated the image description for me, I was able to clean it up a little bit and just put that in all my Word documents. So let's see. Maybe this is a bad image. So let me try to.
One thing I will throw in there is that sometimes with CoPilot, when you're popping an image in there, you're going to need to give it a couple minutes because it has to read the image.
Right. Correct. I will try this one. And sometimes it also will behave a little bit erratically. So this morning it was working fine, but let me try to be a little more specific here. But the screenshot ability is something that will allow CoPilot to read through, to specifically focus on that particular portion of the document and give you answers based on that particular portion. It's still working on it. This is why Jamie usually recommends taking screenshots of CoPilot runs before. That way it doesn't behave erratically in a live demonstration.
So we're getting a question about the 1 of 30 responses. So we'll get to, I'm going to add that question. I do see it, Nellie, and we will, when we get through the demonstrations, we will add those or address those. It is essentially, it gives you like, this is one of the ways that it could be done. But what it gives you is kind of the most common way.
I'm gonna try one different way because I have generated alternative descriptions for each one of these things from CoPilot and use them in my guide. So. All right, guys. Sarah, do you want to show your what you want to demonstrate, and then we can come back to this once it has a description?
Yep. Yep. So if you will stop sharing, I will pop mine open. And I will show you some of my favorite ways. So Pari did a great job of showing you all the kind of details. I thought, oh, these are cool. So I do always access it up here. I have some of this pulled up. So what I wanted to show you is this is actually from our Gen Ed project. So I'm sure this is, I probably don't need to explain this to a lot of you, but this is D2L. And this is an assignment that one of our faculty that helped us on our CBE Gen Ed project had in their course. And one of the things I started thinking about was, okay, one of the biggest challenges in CBE development is how do you, and I'm sure you see it in your courses as well, is how do you generate or how do you develop a really meaningful rubric? in your courses? How do you take your assignment and develop a meaningful rubric? So I thought one day, I thought to myself, hey, self, let's go see what CoPilot can do. And I did use, so it's at the bottom here. So there's an add image tool, so you can upload an image from your computer, or there is take a screenshot. I just took a screenshot. I actually go in here and I take a screenshot of the whole assignment. And you can save it, you can cancel it, you can edit it, you can draw on it. And I said done. And what I told it to do was to, I'm going to go see if I can go back to that, but told it to write a 3-aspect rubric. So we screenshot it and I ask it to write and I'll ask it to write a 3-aspect competency-based rubric for this assignment. And it does take it a minute to populate in there. But what it gives me, so what I use AI for is I use it to help start the brainstorming process. What I do is I use it to help me start thinking about, oh, how do we connect this? How do we connect that? What's a good place to start? And what it will pop back with is it will pop back with and it will take a minute because I'm screen sharing and my computer is slow, but it will pop back with a response that breaks down that rubric for you and gives you a place to start. It actually will put points in there. It puts in the information of what you might look at in there. And it just gives you a great place to start. And so I really do appreciate the ability to just pop that in there. And be able to help start that process. The other thing that CoPilot will do, and I am going to, and here goes CoPilot. So it just takes it a second, but as you can see, it pops back. And I always, because we build competency-based programs, I actually always write out competency-based rubric, because what I learned is there's other acronyms that CBE could be related to, and you may not get what you want. So prompting is still really important. We've talked about prompting with ChatGPT. Developing your prompt in CoPilot is still important. And one of the things that I've learned is I need to ask specifically for what I want. But this will come back with, it says, and I love this, always makes me giggle just a little bit. It says, certainly, here's a 3-aspect competency-based rubric for the assignment, breaking the norm. Because I included the title in my screenshot, it attached the title to it. So I always think that always makes me a little bit giddy when I see it do that. But this gives you, so it breaks it down, it gives you potential points, it gives you areas, analysis and reflection, it breaks it down as we would see in a competency-based rubric: exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, exemplary. These are a potential naming convention for a competency-based rubric. And would I take this and put it into D2L? No. But would I take this and start using this as a base to craft what I need for my students, what I need to provide transparent and clear expectations for my student? Sure, absolutely. This is a great place to start. One of the kind of fun things about this, so I wanted to also point out as we came through here, is this is the reference pieces that I like. So I appreciate and I'm going to keep trying to minimize this so we have more real estate for ChatGPT or for CoPilot, is these references at the bottom. And you can scroll over here. I can hit these references. They will pop up. And this one goes to the curriculum committee minutes for this goes to curriculum committee minutes related to ChatGPT or related to CBE. So I appreciate these because it lets me know where it's coming from. It gives me a little bit of a deeper dive. I appreciate the way it breaks it down. It also gives me options like generate a page summary. Thank you. Can you provide an example of breaking down the norm? It gives me additional things to do with this. So I'm going to try this since we have just a couple minutes, and then I have another example to show you. I was playing with image generation today because in ChatGPT 3.5, you can't generate images. But I learned that you can generate images in, we're going to see if this will do it for me. So I'm going to tell it to generate an image of a black dog on a ladder. If it doesn't do it super quick, I actually have this one screen saved. I'm not logged in apparently to this one, but I will pop that one in the chat because it did work earlier. With this compose, I did want to come back to one thing with this compose. So once you are actually in here and you have it compose whatever you need, this button at the bottom, add to site, that will actually take what you have in here and it will put it in whatever page you're on. So I had, I was playing with this earlier and I asked it to generate something for me, and I had ChatGPT open in my browser, and then CoPilot was open, and I asked it to add to site, and it popped what it created in here into ChatGPT as my prompt. And so if you're in here and you've got this open and you're working on email, or you've got this open and you're working in Word, you can add it and it will pop it into whatever application you're using. So it can be created. And what's going on in chat is that you can come down here and you can get it to create it as a table. You can export this out. You can do those kinds of things. I do want to switch back. I'm going to actually I don't have to switch back because I left the PowerPoint open. We've only got we've got a little bit of time left. I'm going to show you one more example, and then I want to, so the custom features, William's asking about custom features in CoPilot, those are maybe available in the Pro version, but not in the free version. In the free version of CoPilot, I think it's worth saying, and I'm going to switch back here just for a second so I can demonstrate this for you. But in this, there is this, and we didn't call it out a lot, but I think it's interesting, is that in CoPilot, your personal and company information are protected. So they don't actually keep that information. I would still never put personal identifying information into an AI of any kind. Don't ever put, if you've got a student's paper, if you've got whatever you've got, never, ever, ever put PII in there. But with CoPilot, it's protected. So where ChatGPT might use your content for learning, CoPilot does not, and it protects your information, or it protects that personal and company information. So I did want to call that out. But I have one more example of CoPilot, and then I'm hoping that you all can share. We were doing training. We started in our CBE project. One of our CBE projects is we're redesigning 40 of the most common gen eds across the system from a traditional version to a CBE version. And we were doing some training last week, and I thought, I wonder what it can do. I wonder what it can do. And so I asked it to develop, what I asked CoPilot to do was write competency statements for an associate's level early world history class. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told our team of faculty that are working with us. I am not a subject matter in early world history, so don't ask me if these are right. We are going to have to ask our friends in the history department. But this is what CoPilot came back with me. But what I appreciated about this, first of all, it lists these competencies, which are cool. But the second question I asked it was even better than the first. So the second question I asked it was, how can you connect those competencies to real world skills? And it took those same competencies and it was able to give examples of where we can connect, because in CBE, we like to connect skill, we connect the competencies to industry needed skills. We want to make sure we have that workplace relevance. And so in this example, what I appreciated about it was not only that it was able to say, okay, students can learn to examine historical events. This is going to help with critical thinking. But because I use AI to really start brainstorming and help my brain push different connections with content or whatever I'm looking at, it really helps in that brainstorming process. What I appreciated, it was able to highlight some skills that I might not have thought of immediately, and it helped accelerate and create efficiencies in the development process. So where it was talking about cultural competence, where it's talking about project management, applying chronological reasoning with a real world skill of project management. And one of the competencies was to construct timelines, understanding cause and effect relationships. Well, my brain probably wouldn't have gotten to project management from that, but that really is a skill that can be connected to the development of the timeline. And so I wanted to share this because I thought it was a really cool example of where we can have AI help us push our thinking and help us see possibilities that we might not get to as quickly as we would if we were having to process, as we're developing courses and processing through that information on our own. AI can be a great partner, and CoPilot did this in like 5 minutes for me. Was able to take, not only build the competencies, the base level competencies, but then connect them to real world skills so that so we could have a really cool discussion about relevancy of competencies to real world skills. And it gave me some things that I might not have thought about immediately otherwise. So it was a really great example for us. We do have a couple minutes, and Pari and I have given you a couple things, but I did promise to give some time. So for those of you that are using CoPilot or have tried it out, what are some things you've tried it out with? And if they didn't work, that's okay, because that's part of the learning process. But for those of you using CoPilot, what are some things you've tried with it? And you can put them in the chat, or you can come off mute if you're more comfortable with that. But we'd love to hear how you're using it. Pari and I shared some of the ways we're using it. But what are some of the ways you've tried? What are some of the things you've tried?
I'm not sure if this qualifies, but I can say something.
Yeah.
I was testing it out, seeing what sort of features it would do, checking about the filters, things of that nature. One thing I asked was, can you give me a list of video service or video sharing platforms, just like a list of 20 of them or something like that. And I noticed during the list that it would list some of the really big name ones that everyone thinks about, YouTube most prominently. It would list some of the small, more obscure ones, but in terms of ones that could potentially be viable competitors to the big 5 tech firms, it tended to bias away from those. So it's I suppose you could say using it for research specifically to see the limitations of the research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's one of the things we learn, right? These are not perfect tools. There are things that there's a reason we don't take them, and I didn't take that rubric and go plug it into that course as it came out, because as smart, and this is something I was thinking about the other day, as smart as these tools are, as quickly as these tools are learning, they cannot replace what we know about emotional intelligence. They cannot replace what we know about working with our students and working with our people. And so being able to understand, that's a great example of being able to understand, that these tools give us a platform to expand our ideas, but they aren't always where we want to take it. And I did pop into chat my black dog climbing a ladder that CoPilot gave me earlier today. I gave you the whole prompt for that. And Chuck, you have your hand up.
Sure, I just wanted to test something on CoPilot, and it worked great. If you work with ChatGPT and if you have the advanced version, you can do graphics. However, if you want text in that graphics, it doesn't do a very good job. It really has a problem, even if you give it the text that you're looking for. I just popped in asking for a graphic for Tech Talk Tuesday, and it did a great job at actually doing the lettering and the text. So impressive with that.
Nice. Pari.
If you don't mind, I was gonna switch over really quickly to show that finally CoPilot is doing what I asked it to do earlier. Because I really thought this was a good use case for people to be able to see how it works. So again, up here, we have our page, and as I demonstrated the screenshot ability, once you do that, I asked it to give me an alternative description for this image on the left right here. It's a little bit more detailed. And so here's ChatGPT's answer to that at the bottom here, where it gives me a starting point saying it kind of is able to capture everything, how it's got a course master, it's got 3 tabs on the top, it's got the terms on the left, and it appears to be it appears to allow us to sort through some of these things by the terms. So this is a much better place for me to start describing these images, to make sure those images are accessible to students to do that using CoPilot. And similarly here at the very bottom where I say there's a submit preview close button, instead of saying there's a 3 green buttons, it does a little bit more explanation. So this is a very quick and dirty example. The other thing I wanted to share was also this is a long page. It is a page that our performance specialist Mark has laid out for our faculty members, but you can quickly ask it to summarize it for you. So you can have a general summary of the page and ask it more questions about details about like what are the role-based updates and stuff like that. So really wanted to share that because I really thought that was a powerful use case of making your pages more accessible, your images more accessible.
Mm-hmm. And Pari, on that summary you just did you just say summarize the page because you were on the page and you open CoPilot? You don't have to upload anything. You just...
Correct. You open your website on the left-hand side, open your CoPilot, and it could be, a page about Portugal and sites to see and stuff like that. Instead of going through all that, you can ask ChatGPT to summarize that. You can ask CoPilot to summarize that for you, and it does a really good job. I will tell you this though, this morning I asked it to summarize a page, and it told me the height of Mount Everest is so and so, and here's how you climb. And so it gave me a completely irrelevant material because I didn't say summarize this page. And so I said, haha, no, summarize this website page that you see. And it was able to come back and summarize the content of that particular page. So sometimes it will give you hallucinations, as you have heard before. So
yes, CoPilot is not perfect. It still hallucinates. It's still just a tool. It's just a tool. It's not here to solve all of our problems, but it does function just a little bit differently than ChatGPT. And so in the beginning where we were talking about some of the differences, hopefully this has been able to highlight not only some of the differences, but some of the things you can do with CoPilot. And Alice put in the chat, for those of you that may not have seen it, she was trying to create a flyer for an upcoming seminar and had CoPilot assist that. And she's saying that it gave her some templates and helped her write copy, that layout work and layout software isn't something she works with a lot. So it was really helpful for her to help develop that flyer. So
Nellie's excited about screenshot technology because Gemini doesn't have it.
I
That's
love
our
the
favorite
screenshot technology. It's one of my favorite features, as I said earlier, but it just makes things move so much faster. I will tell you, it does take a minute, as you saw us demonstrate. It's not as fast as ChatGPT in the response, but it's because it's scanning those images. So just know that ChatGPT is going to give you a little bit of a faster response, but CoPilot can analyze those screenshots, which I think is amazing. And
Nellie,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Nellie had a question about opening the Word document in Edge. So Nellie, you're right. When you try to drop in a Word document in Edge, it will actually not open it. It will just download it for you. So in my case, what I demonstrated here was I actually created a PDF first, and that was just for the ease of having all the images in that one document. So either it will open the website for you, or it can open a PDF, but not actually a Word document. unless, like we said, if CoPilot is integrated into Office 365 and you have opened the Word document in the Office 365 and you have that CoPilot button. And so, William, that's also your, to answer your question, I think if we have CoPilot in the subscription of the CoPilot to the add-on to the Office 365, then it actually just comes up as a button in all of these tools that you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it will come up because CoPilot in the Office 365 apps and the Microsoft 365 apps is a subscription add-on. If you have that, you will see, as Pari showed earlier on the ribbon, you'll see CoPilot, and you can hit that button and it'll pop up. If you don't have that subscription or don't have that add-on to your subscription, you won't see it. But as this further evolves, I would not be surprised if that's just part of the subscription in the future, is the addition of that CoPilot in there. It used to. So CoPilot used to originally had a limitation on images. Now, I personally have not gone in and tried to generate image after image after image, so I'm unsure, but from what I am reading and what I've seen is they've relaxed that image generation, but there is going to be a point at where you can't do 700 images in a day. You can probably do the last I read was 30 engagement, so there's probably is a bit of a limitation on the free version, but I'm not 100% sure what that is. So copyright implications on images are interesting because those images, yes, there could be. However, the way that those images are pulled is because they're pulled from such a variety of locations. There's generally not copyright image issues because it's not taking one particular, it's looking at maybe these pixels over here, it's pulling from multiple different sources when it's pulling an image together. If you're doing something that you're publishing a lot of, you may want to make sure that you check with someone more learned than me in copyright law. But in general, when you're pulling those images for general use, it is not like my example of the black dog climbing a ladder would not have a copyright issue. But if you're doing something more specific or related to a specific discipline area, you might want to be sure you double check. Remember, AI is just a place to start. Whether you're using CoPilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, Bard, Claude, any of those, Dolly, any of those, it is a place to start. It is not, you always want to double check what AI gives you and be aware of the content that it's producing. So the CoPilot output is CoPilot output is going to be no different than a ChatGPT or a Claude or a Bard. That is information that's been generated. So CoPilot, Bard, all of them work similarly in that they are continuously learning from large data models. They are continuously learning. So there isn't an owner of the information. However, you do, it is, so no, they don't, CoPilot doesn't, I'm trying to read his question and answer it at the same time, so it's probably coming off a little wonky, sorry. So the question is, if CoPilot doesn't store or train on the data, is inputting student data a violation? Do not put student data into any AI technology, period. Like, it doesn't matter if they keep your data, don't keep your data. As a general protection for yourself and your students, we don't put protected information into AI. While there is always that caveat that your data is protected, I would always err on the side of caution and never put that information in there. If you have a specific enterprise solution and that is part of your contract, that might be something different, but we're all using free versions of these tools for the most part, and it's never something you want to do is to put any PII in any of those tools. Okay, we have about a minute left, so I know many of you have to hop off. So I want to, before we run out of time, I want to thank you all for joining us today. I am going to put in the chat, but I'll also send out an email later. We will have Tech Talk Tuesday again in April. We hope that you join us. We hope that you choose to come back and hang out with us for an hour. This Tech Talk Tuesday topic was brought to you because someone asked us if we could talk about CoPilot. So if there are topics you want us to talk about, please let us know. Email any of us, email Pari, Jamie, myself, Aaron, email any of us and let us know that you want to talk about a particular topic. We are happy, always happy to do that with you. You can help shape the future of our Tech Talks. We want to make sure that we're bringing you the information that you are most interested in. So please let us know what you want to hear about. Otherwise, you keep hearing what we want to talk about, which is also fun for us, but may not be as helpful for you. So we want to make sure this is value add time for you. I'm putting the link to the Tech Talk Tuesday registration in chat. I'll also email it out later. So please make plans to join us in April for the next Tech Talk Tuesday. But if you want to hang out and ask some questions, we'll stick around for a little bit more time, but I know many of you have other things to get on to. So thank you for joining us today. It was great to have you here, great to have you engaged. Please make sure you make plans to see us again in April, and we will talk to you all soon.
I've also shared our TBR AI resources website, and part of that website is also our AI usage form survey. We would love to hear from you how you're using AI in your daily lives, or if you're not using it, or if you would like to share artifacts, or if you want to collaborate on one of these Tech Talks, we would love to hear that from you. And sorry for the snafus earlier.
It's great.
These things happen.
Well, you know, we're doing things live. I'm trying to go through the questions and make sure we answered everything. And if you're still here and you have a question, come off mute and just ask us.
I can't. This is Nellie, the chatty one.
Nellie, I love it.
I can't. I put a screenshot in there. It doesn't show me the screenshot button in my CoPilot.
I wonder if your campus has any.
I'm at system office.
Oh, Nellie, then I don't know because it's in mine. We can connect and see what it's showing you.
Okay.
Because mine just pops right up. But Nellie, if you want to ping me after this, sure. I can hop on a Teams call with you, and
that would be awesome.
We can look at it together specifically on your computer.
Great, thank you. Oh wait, this page has been blocked.
In the beginning, so Nellie, I was going to say, in the beginning, when I first started accessing CoPilot, I would get a permissions issue message, and I'm wondering if that's what it is. I had to just open a ticket with IT and say, I would like CoPilot to be activated on my Edge browser. So I don't know if that's what's going on with you as well.
Well, and what it's doing, and I think this is normal, it's taking me to the Bing search engine, right? And is that, so I need to get it activated?
What browser are you? Are you using Edge or Chrome?
I'm using Edge.
Yeah, let's hop on a call.
Okay.
And we can look through it.
All right.
Speaking of chatty ones.
Yeah. Hey. We love that you keep coming back.
So I had a few questions. I hope there's a bit of time.
Yeah.
One thing I've heard from faculty here, and it's kind of futile, but they still want to know, if you use the CoPilot feature directly in Microsoft Word, for example, is there something in the metadata that indicates that CoPilot was used, or no?
I am not aware of anything in the metadata that would capture that. Now, I would have to look on my personal computer because we don't have at TBR, at the system office, we don't have that embedded in our 365 accounts. I'm not aware of anything, but I can, when I get on my personal computer later, I can take a peek and see what's in there. Now we don't have it embedded, but if I have like Word open in the browser version, I can, because I'm in a browser, I can still open CoPilot. And where we were talking about that compose function, I could ask it to compose something. And if I say add to slide, it will actually pop that information into my Microsoft Word document without having CoPilot in Microsoft Word. But I'm not aware of how that would or could capture that in the metadata.
Yeah, I can say, so for myself, I'm on the staff side, but on the faculty side, they are terrified of students cheating with AI, especially as that stuff is getting shoved in their face. And it's like, how the heck can we catch it? And one of the ideas they had was, oh, well, we can like have students put everything in a shared folder, and then we can just look at the version history of those documents to see how they're edited over time. The thing, yes.
I was going to say, I have a bet. There's maybe something that we want to explore with faculty, and that's something our team actually goes out and does training with specific topics. If there's specific topics we've been to several of the colleges, but we can do that as well. But one of the things that we are talking about right now is how developing more authentic assessments you can't AI proof. You can't completely AI proof anything, right? If students have been since the beginning of time incredibly resourceful people who, I think sometimes there's occasionally students that will spend more time trying to cheat than actually doing the work. But that said, there are ways that you can adjust the assessment piece to create a more authentic assessment that creates a greater challenge for students to use AI at all in delivering an authentic response. And so that may be a direction if because I know that faculty, that is a concern and a legitimate concern for faculty. How do I know that my learner, my student, is actually writing the thing that they turned in? Well, one of the things we can look at is what are the things we're actually asking them? Are we asking them questions that they could put into any kind of AI and get a response? Or are we asking questions that require them to generate original, authentic, critically thought through responses? And so that might be a direction that we want to look at to help alleviate some of that concern for faculty, because it's not, one of the things we think about is that this, and we talked about it, right? It's ever evolving, it's ever changing. There's not a way to say stop and cut it out, but how do we adjust the way that we're also thinking and approaching it so that we're ensuring we get those original, authentic responses from our students that demonstrate their learning?
The flip side of that is you've got like the, say, English department that's terrified of this stuff, but the business department loves it.
Yep.
And from there, their concern is more so, how do we make sure that our students have access to it in order to be using it for the courses? And I mean, just integrated with Edge is one thing, but in terms of some of the more advanced features, like they're trying to train students on how to use some of the features in the Microsoft suite. Are you aware of any like I don't know, enterprise packages or something like that specifically for educational institutions that they can share those features with students taking those courses?
Not that I'm aware of off the top of my head, and Aaron and Pari may have some idea. We can look into that. Now there are enterprise versions like ChatGPT has come out with a team. It's called a team account. So there's ChatGPT, the free account. There's Pro, which you can buy at a $20 a month or something like that. But there's also this team version, which is a little more enterprise, but it's not specific to education. So we can look in, we haven't probably done as much research, or I'm going to say I'm not bringing me and my team down with me, but I probably haven't done as much research in that space of educational enterprise solutions. We can look into it. My suspicion is that it may not be something that they've targeted as a market need because of the duality of the response to AI across institutions, where, like you were just describing, like the English department is going, and probably history as well, is going, oh, hey, wait a minute. And the business department is like, oh, hey, let's hit the accelerator on this. And so we can look into that, but I'm not aware of any off the top of my head.
I mean, the flip side of that is that oftentimes it's companies like giving discounts for education specifically because those people are then learning on that company's products. So
Mhm.
I would imagine that if it's not that case in the near future, I would think that Microsoft would do something like that, if only so that the people learning would be learning with Microsoft's products.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it's coming. Microsoft, and we were talking earlier, like it is one of the best case studies of true evolution of AI that I've seen. And I do not doubt that that is coming on the horizon. I'm just not aware of it.
Another feature I was wondering about, so I was just looking at a Adobe AI feature where its big claim to fame is that it will only read and pull information, summarize stuff from a specific document. So it won't be pulling stuff from outside. You have a document showing like this is this perspective on this issue, and it won't be pulling stuff from other sources. Does CoPilot have something like that where it will limit its pulling function to only a specific document that you put into it?
Um, Not that I know of. No, I don't have the pro version. I use all the free versions. So, not not that I know of. I did just ask CoPilot about your educational enterprise question. And it says that it does say that there's a CoPilot 365 that's available at $30 a month, but that's the actual price of adding it to your 365 anyway. So I'm going to go with there's not a special enterprise version for education. As for, I am not aware that you can limit the free versions of the technology to a specific piece of content unless you crafted your prompt in such a way that it limited it to I don't think that you can systematically limit it. I think that would have to be done in prompt creation. And Aaron and Pari chime in if I'm off the mark, but I think that would have to be controlled through the way that you've crafted your prompt.
Yeah, yes, that's my understanding, is that you could put in those restrictions within the prompt itself. But it's not inherent like a closed system that Adobe has set up. So it works a little bit differently.
Okay, so final question. You mentioned TBR helping local colleges with specialized issues, things of that nature. I can say for ours, we really need it. There are some people who might not appreciate we need it. We absolutely need it. Um, who would be the contact person to reach out to set that kind of stuff up?
You can reach out to any of us, Jamie, me, myself, Pari. You're at Cleveland State, right?
Yes.
Okay, we are scheduled to come down live and in person, I think on the 22nd. I'm not 100% sure because that just got scheduled maybe end of last week. But we're doing an on-campus visit on the 22nd related to AI, but you can reach out to Jamie or myself. Jamie set that up, so I'm not 100% sure what that conversation looked like. It's probably buried in my email somewhere, if I'm being honest. But we are going to be at Cleveland State on the 22nd.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you.
Of course. Other questions? All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us. We loved the extra time chatting with you. If you do have more questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Pari put our emails in the chat, so please feel free to reach out to us and ask us anything. We really enjoy this topic and these conversations. So please invite us to be part of your conversation because it makes our hearts happy. And we fun things with AI. So other than that, have an awesome. So the videos and transcripts, Pari, I don't know if you got that posted yet or not, but let me grab it for you. We will post them in our hub, in our AI hub that we have. And I'm going to get that for you in our, and we post all of our recordings there. So I'm going to pop that in. Thank you, Pari. So everything will go our AI resource that we've developed. But it'll probably take early next week before we get in there, because Jamie is the one that renders those for us into YouTube, and she is on vacation.
Yeah, but you can find all the previous Tech Talk Tuesdays and our curated resources and the form that probably you have already filled out. But yeah, feel free to share this website with your faculty members as well.
Okay.
Sarah, I have a quick question before we go away. I'm Patsy Fancher from Southwest Tennessee Community College, and it is quite warm here today. So this is my first opportunity to join in on the Tech Talks, and I appreciate it. As everyone in academia have the issue of AI and papers and research and that kind of stuff. Our issue, as everybody else's, is that you spend time with students throughout the semester, and then they submit a paper that sounds like it's written by a Harvard scholar, and it is not the student's work. And I guess the big question is proving it. And I have actually had faculty copy it, paste it back into chat and say, was this written by AI? And it will come up and reference that it is. But has TBR talked about any global in TBR institutions policy about AI?
So one of the things so the short answer is at this time, no, TBR is not writing specific policy related to AI. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, AI is evolving so quickly that if we were to write a policy, by the time it got all the way through the process and approved, it would probably be it would completely have there would already be AI written over it. But what we're finding is that a lot of times the colleges are able to look at their own, every college has their academic integrity policies. Every college has those policies. And what they're able to do is look at their own academic integrity policies and seeing a lot of ways that can apply to AI as well, and just reiterating those academic integrity policies. There is a challenge right now in being able to accurately detect the use of AI, and even the best academic resources, so our Turnitins and our copy links and our unit checks, and are getting false positives on checking for AI. It'll either not cache it, or it'll say somebody used AI and it didn't, and they really didn't. And that we were talking a little bit earlier about this, is one of the ways that we can look at that is, how do we look and make sure we're asking questions that students can't pull from AI? So as we're looking at our assessments, how are we intentionally adjusting the way we are authentically assessing our students to prevent as much as possible the use of AI? Or the flip side of that is incorporating AI as one of the steps of the process, so they essentially eliminate it as a final product. So, and the ways we've seen that, right, is I was actually talking to somebody that was an English professor, and the first thing they did was they gave their students, they said, this is our topic. You need to go into AI, you need to put this prompt in, and then you need to tell me what it said. So they were giving that prompt back. And then the actual assignment was, now you need to take that prompt, and they did, it was much more articulate. This is more, well articulated. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but essentially it's, take that prompt you just got, that response, take the information in class, and you need to go through and tell me why it's right or why it's not right. Evaluate that response you got, and how, if it's wrong, do you make it right? And so they were using AI. The student wasn't able to just turn it in, because they'd already submitted it as step one of the assignment. They had to submit it to the instructor in the first place. And step two is, now you have to tell me why it's right or why it's wrong. And not only do you have to tell me why it's right or why it's wrong, but how about you tell me where you found out that it was right or why it was wrong? And so there's different ways when we're talking about authentic assessment, and we're happy to have conversations in this space. This is one of our happy places, is to talk about authentic assessment. But those are ways that we can help, provide different ways of thinking about assessment that essentially you can't AI proof everything, but if you incorporate it as part of a step, you can eliminate in some ways the potential for the use of AI just by changing the way you're asking the question.
Very, very good idea.
So, as you're working with faculty, the chances, back to your original question, the chances are good that you already have an academic integrity policy, but we've got to, as faculty, become smarter about the way that we're asking our assessment questions so that we don't want to take AI out of the equation, because that's what our students are going to be using when they get out in the marketplace. They've got to know how to use it, but we've got to be able to teach them how to do it ethically. We've got to be able to teach them how to critically think with it. We've got to teach them how to check what they're getting. We've got to teach them those skills that we haven't had to teach before. Or we've taught them, but in a different way. That's probably a better way to say that. I'm not saying we didn't teach critical thinking, but we've got to teach it in a different way, because we've got to teach them how to, you don't just take whatever AI gives you and turn it in, because it's probably not right. Like, you've got to be able to critically think. And so if that's a space that could help your faculty, let us know. We're always happy to have those conversations and be a thought partner in providing some different ways to think about how we're assessing that can leverage AI, but also ensure we're getting authentic learning examples from our students.
Yeah, as a department chair, I am constantly getting asked, what do I do about this? I know it's AI. What do I do about this? And I like the use of it. I mean,
yeah,
we have over the years, at least I have, seen new ways of doing things, and we fought it, and now we wouldn't think of not using whatever whatever technology that happens to be, but how to embrace it and use it. And we are all learning with this process. So, but that's a good idea. Make them use it and then use it against them. So that's good.
We've got to teach we are in an interesting space, because as educators, we're learning it as fast, or sometimes the students are learning it faster than we are. Yeah. And that's just the reality of the world that we live in. So how do we help them still gain those real world skills that they need, but in a way that also helps them build the learning and the skills that we need them to do within our classroom structure? And so if there's opportunity, if you want to have those conversations with us, reach out, email us, because that's one of our happy places too, is, and especially because we live in a CVE, one of our favorite topics is authentic assessment. And we've got some great resources, and Erin's nodding along because she and I have been talking about this recently with our Gen Ed project, is to how do we talk about authentic assessment in a way that continues to build our students' skills, but also as faculty gives us the ability to be able to truly assess where our students are in a real way. So yeah, let us know.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Okay, any other questions? If not, have an amazing afternoon. Reach out to us with anything that comes up. Share with us all of the cool things that you're learning, and do check out our AI resource. There's also a link to a survey on there, and make plans to join us again in April.
I'm sorry, one more quick question.
Sure.
So I know that you said that you are using the free version of CoPilot. Is there anyone at TBR that you know is using the